What is up, YouTube? Dots Gaming here, and today I'm bringing you guys the next video of my dungeon guide series, and that is Veteran Hard Mode Fungal Grotto 2. Much harder than its counterpart Fungal Grotto 1. Definitely a much more difficult dungeon. There are a couple bosses in here that will trip up groups who do not know the mechanics, but that's what this guide is for, and that's why you are all here today. So similar to the last video, if you want to just skip to a specific boss fight, there will be a pinned comment in the comment section below that has timestamps with all the specific bosses. So if you would like to just see what a specific boss has in terms of mechanics, you can feel free to skip right to that boss. Or if you just kind of want to see what a full run through Fungal Grotto 2 Veteran Hard Mode looks like, you can just sit down and watch this entire video. Now, I'm actually running the exact same group I ran with Fungal Grotto 1. We did this dungeon right after we did the Fungal Grotto 1, so you will notice that my group's a bit lower when it comes to CP, especially my tank. I don't even think my tank is CP 160. And again, I tried to do that with the Fungal Grottos because this is generally going to be, if you're having trouble with it, you're going to be a bit of a lower level group. So I wanted to try to kind of simulate as much of a lower level environment as I could. Even sometimes in certain boss fights, you may notice I actually do a bit of a slower DPS rotation just because I don't want to blow through the bosses and the mechanics too quickly. So when you first start off, you're going to see that pack of ads right in the beginning like you just saw. Basically, kill the caster ones first and take care of the melee goblins afterwards. The caster ones tend to be a bit more of a pain, and then you're going to move down the tunnel, and you're going to see this group here just simply drop all your AoEs, and it'll take care of all of them relatively quickly. Now, there's a lot of the bosses are in similar locations to the bosses that were in Fungal Grotto 1, so you're going to notice a very similar, you're going to notice it's the exact same environment, but the ads themselves are different. They're a bit more challenging this time around. So like I said, what you want to do optimally here is you want to try to have your tank be chaining everything into one area so that your AoE can take everything down. But if your tank isn't chaining things, and what I would recommend that you do is try to take down the caster ads first. They tend to be a bit more of a pain. As you can see, there's those two menders in the back that I should be killing, but I was getting distracted by the melee guys. So now I actually take care of these guys last. But, you know, it tends to be a bit of a better idea to take care of these guys first because, you know, they can offer CC. As you can see, they're healing this guy. So it just makes getting through these encounters a bit easier. Now, once we finish off this last Spider Cult Initiate and we loot all the stuff, we are going to move into our first boss, and that is Fallas Fang. So basically, she's not the world's hardest boss, but as you can see, she has a couple of healer ads around her, and those should be the ones that are killed first, as they are healers. They should definitely be taken care of first, and as you can see, old Dots Gaming is not doing that, and he should be. But I'm just letting my AoE really rip them down, not focusing my single target DPS on them, though, which isn't a horrible idea. So I do just let my AoE take them down. And as you saw, I did just bash the boss, and that is because, like most spiders in the game, Fallas Fang is able to feast on the corpses of around her, and she's able to regain health back. So just be sure to bash that. And you'll also notice that she's dropping these big poison AoEs that I'm trying to stay out of and move out of as much as I can. So your tank should be trying to kind of kite Fallas Fang around as she's dropping these AoE areas so that your DPS are able to stay outside of them and don't have to stand in them while doing their damage. So try to move her kind of slowly. You can try to do either a circular pattern around this area or whatever you decide. But basically, you know, sit there, tank her. When she drops the AoE, move her around, and just try to do it strategically in a way that your DPS are able to do what they have to do. She also has that poisonous spray, that conal AoE that you saw right before she died. Just simply don't stand in that. The tank should optimally be facing Fallas Fang away from the group so that the group isn't hit by that conal AoE. But besides that, that's pretty much it in terms of mechanics for that boss fight. The next boss tends to be a bit more of a pain in the ass for your groups. So once we move into the next room, again, similar to all of the other ones we've been talking about, chain in, like our tank should be chaining in that healer. He should be chaining in that healer. And the reason he should be is because if that healer was chained into the group, he would be hit with our AoEs, and we'll be able to AoE this pack down much quicker, and we wouldn't have to take care of her at the end. She wouldn't be healing anybody. So again, if you're a tank watching this, you always want to try to chain range add-ons into the main add-on pack, into the main group, simply so that your DPS are able to AoE them down significantly quicker. It's definitely something as a tank that you should be getting used to. If you're a Dragon Knight, you want to be using your chains ability, obviously, Unrelenting Grip. And then if you are a non-DK tank, you should be looking to use Silver Leash. It's going to be the best thing for you. So again, you get into this next room, basically the same thing. More adds, a bunch of rain ones, as you can see. I wake up and finally start attacking them first. We get a much better grouping, though, so we're able to AoE these guys down much quicker. Again, our tank should be pulling that Pyromancer into the group, so he would be able to die to our AoE. This would go a little bit quicker. But we're trying not to DPS overly fast so that we're able to kind of see what everything does. But the next boss, this next boss tends to be a bit more of a pain, especially for new groups. She can definitely trip you guys up. Definitely trip you guys up. So the next boss is Game Bandu, I believe is the pronunciation. I probably butchered that. But her main mechanic that you have to worry about is she chains people to the ground. She has 4 shadow adds that chain people to the ground. And what you want to do when somebody's chained to the ground is their DPS, the healer, whatever, want to target one add in that pack and kill that add. Just one. Because once you kill one of the shadow adds, the chains are broken and the DPS is able to get back up. If you do not do that, the person who is being chained will be one shot and they will die. So that is very, very, very important. Very important. So you can see Crimson Tide right now is being held down. You can see that sword going to her. We kill the Shadow Tormentor, and he's able to get back up. Another mechanic that you're going to see from her is called is basically a beam that connects multiple players together. And you want to run as far away from each other as possible so that beam breaks, otherwise you'll take high damage. As you can see, our tank gets chained down this time. So again, we focus down one of the Shadow Tormentors. He doesn't get one shot and is able to get right back up. Now, occasionally during this fight as well, she will replace herself with 4 of those shadow guys, as is seen right here. Oh, great timing, Dots. So you can see she summons all 4 of these guys at once. We basically try to keep them all grouped together. You kill them all really, really fast, and then afterwards she will reappear. So as you can see, here she is. We go back to DPSing the boss. As you can see, Crimson Tide and Wiggly were connected together, but Wiggly ran very, very far away, so that beam broke so that none of them died. Wiggly is chained over there, and we didn't realize it, so we just tried to DPS the boss since the fight was almost done anyway, and we were able to kill Game Bandu before he was one shot by the sword. But the main thing that trips people up is the beam that connects the players. People think that they need to get closer together, but actually you need to spread out from each other. I actually even forget that sometimes. And then when you do get chained to the ground, when someone gets chained to the ground, everybody needs to focus one ad, kill that ad quick, and then you will prevent yourself from getting completely skewered by that sword. So once we move further down the tunnel, you can see there are some more ads here. We just quickly AoE them down and deal with them, and it really isn't a big deal. Obviously, focusing the healers first and the casters is just the name of the game. As you can see, more down here. Just kind of some trash ad packs that you have to deal with while you move towards the next boss. Nothing really crazy or major that you have to worry about. The next boss actually, though, is kind of counterintuitive to what you normally see from boss fights. Normally when you do a boss fight, you obviously, if there's any ads that are summoned, they generally tend to be the priority target, number one, and what you want to focus on. But with our next boss, that's actually the opposite of what you want to do. Now, these Obsidian Whisper warriors right here, you do want to be careful. They actually have some pretty strong attacks that you need to pay attention to. As you can see, there was a soul tether that stunned all of us and healed the ad, so definitely important to try to CC break that as soon as you can. And they also have like a steel tornado-like ability that you do want to stay out of the AoE of, and if you're the tank taking it, you obviously want to block it. So that is very important. Now we move to this, again, this ad pack up here. So our tank should be chaining in that healer that's standing in the back left so that we can bring it into the group. But we actually our tank actually leapt and thankfully knocked everybody into one big area, so I was able to drop my Elemental Rage, and we were able to just absolutely decimate this add-on pack with relative this ad pack, with relative ease. So, again, you always want to try to have good grouping. That is really, really important for ad packs. You always want to try to have really, really solid grouping, chaining things, leashing things into one area so that all of your DPS from your stam DPS damage dealers, your mag DPS damage dealers, all that stuff is able to cleave things down at once, because the quicker the stuff dies, the better, obviously. So that is really, really key as a tank. You want to, be sure to be keeping aggro on your priority target and chaining in things or leashing in things that are far away. So once we move past that first add-on pack, I keep saying add-on pack. Oh my God. It's because I just made my add-on guide right before I did this. So I keep saying add-ons. Once we move past the first ad pack, we have this one. And again, group them up, AoE them down, focus on the healers first. The same thing we've been seeing throughout the entire dungeon encounter. All the basic stuff that you should be trying to do. So we're just moving through these ads. Again, healers first, the regular melee guys second, and then the spiders you could probably handle last. And now, again, the spiders do the same type of mechanic that Fallas Fang did. I think it was Fallas Fang. Yes, Fallas Fang. So simply, if you see them kind of consuming a corpse, just bash it. It'll stop the healing. They'll set them off balance. So just simply bash that whenever you see that happening. So we move, and there are more spiders over here. Once we get past this little area of spiders, we will actually have that next boss I was talking about before. And like I said, counterintuitive to what you normally do. Believe it or not, killing the ads in this next boss fight will actually strengthen the boss and make the boss harder to kill, and will really prolong the fight for no reason. I don't think she does more damage, but I think she takes less damage. I'm not entirely sure, but I know she definitely becomes tankier. I don't know if she deals more damage, but if you kill the spider ads, she will be a bitch and a half to kill. So try to ignore and not hit these three spider ads that are around her if you can help it. You'd be much better off just trying to focus the boss down. So once we're just waiting for our other DPS here, we can actually move into this next fight. We see him coming up the back here. There he is. All right, so come on, tank. Let's do this. Let's pull. There we go. All right. So moving into this, as you can see, we run right past the tank ads and just move straight to the boss. Now, the best way, in my opinion, to do it is that the tank should keep the spiders taunted over there. That would kind of be the best way to do it. We end up kind of getting some unnecessary grouping here. But in my opinion, the best way to do it would be to keep the spiders taunted off away from the boss, and then use a range taunt to keep the main boss taunted onto the tank. Because the issue is that if you do keep the grouping like this, not that it's the end of the world, but if you keep the grouping like this, it will go a little bit slower, because DPS really can't use their AoE stuff, because the spiders will get unnecessarily cleaved. So it's going to take longer if we just can only use our single target ability. So if you're a tank, try to keep the spiders away from the boss as possible. Utilize that range taunt to your advantage. In addition, she also has I think she has a fear that she uses every now and then. So if you do get hit by that, as you see, I got hit by that projectile, you can just CC break it. I don't know if it's blockable or dodgeable. Would be something to try if you see it coming towards you. Again, I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to say if it is for certain. But it's just a simple CC break, and you're able to get right back into the fight. And otherwise, that's it. The main thing is just the spiders. If you cleave the spiders, the fight will take forever. So keep the spiders challenged, keep them CC'd, whatever you got to do to keep them away from the main boss, so that the DPS are able to burn her down as quickly as possible. So we move into a pack of the Obsidian guys and some spiders and a healer. So just, again, healer first. Dots Gaming dies like a noob to the Obsidian warriors. I got stuck in a couple of steel tornadoes, I believed, at once, so I died like a noob. But, again, that pyromancer should get chained in with the rest of the group so that it dies to cleave. It would be much easier. But if not, then, again, you want to focus those ranged ads first to get them taken out of the way, because they tend to be the ones with the most annoying mechanics. So we attack them first, kill the rest of the stuff, and then move on to the next platform. And the next platform just has some more ads on it too. What are we doing? Let's go, boys. Come on. All right, so we move on to this next platform here. Again, we have some healers in the back. Also, what you could do as a tank is you could just taunt and get aggro from the other things and then move yourself towards the ranged ads. So that's another way to get everything grouped up together. This is a really good instance for practicing your grouping as a tank, because not that any of this stuff is, it's not that it's super bad if the stuff is kept apart, but I think it's just a good practice to get used to and to again, practice on. Especially because, the dungeon it's not hard, but it is challenging enough. So the next boss fight, though, as you can see, this is where Krog was in Fungal Grotto 1, but now it's the spawn of Mafala, and she walks out of that portal in the back of the room, and that will be a mechanic for the fight. Thankfully, I do get teleported in there constantly. So the way this works is that portal, the closest DPS or tank or healer or whoever to the portal will be the one that gets pulled into it, and we will show you what happens when we get pulled in. So obviously we taunt the boss, and she has, very similarly to Krog, a red circle that expands very, very quickly underneath the boss, and it explodes, so you want to dodge away from it. But if you're the closest one, you will get pulled in like this, as you can see, and there will be a lot of spider ads inside this room. And now simply it's up to the DPS to just kill all these spider ads, and then you will be able to take a portal and go back out to the main portion of the fight. Now that's why I do think it's most important to, I believe your DPS is supposed to be the closest one to this. And that makes it so that the DPS is able to kill all of these spiders very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. And then get back out there. But I believe you can also bring the boss really far away from the portal, and that may prevent that mechanic. I'm not 100% sure. We didn't here. But I would recommend that, trying to pull Mafala, the spawn of Mafala, as far away from it as possible. But when you do position yourself, try to position a DPS as close to it as possible in case someone does get pulled in. But as you can see, she does have that growing AoE that you guys saw. It exploded afterwards, and if you stood in it, you take damage. And then there was like that light beam that was getting shot down. Just simply avoid that if you can, especially because there's a couple circles that can overlap at once, and if you get caught in multiple AoEs at the same time, you will be taking a lot of damage. So, it's a pretty stereotypical fight in the regards that it's like, don't stand in the enemy colored stuff, and you'll generally be okay. So as you guys can see, I got sucked in here again, so we kill all of the spiders. Once again, the portal appears, and back out we go. Now, I believe I get pulled in a gabillion times. So that is why this boss fight, I think this one takes a while, because I just keep getting pulled in, and, because of that, our DPS ends up getting pretty slowed. So as you can see, we're just DPSing her down. You see the big expanding AoE, we all back out. As you can see, Crimson Tide was getting hit by that beam, so he was trying to dodge roll out of it as much as he could. I got sucked back in, so once again, we have to take care of the spider ads. They're really not that hard to kill. It's just kind of like more of a nuisance than anything. It's like, okay, how fast can this guy kill these ads so that he can get back out and keep DPSing? So I have to go through the mechanics here of just actually killing all these spiders. So I just try to get them as grouped up as I can. My magic is a little bit low here. I really want to use my ult, but I'm trying to save it for when I actually am at the boss and can actually deal some meaningful damage. So my magic is a bit on the lower side. But we can finally take care of all those spiders. Back out we go. And as we can see, boom, drop my elemental rage. Finally start doing some DPS. And we're just rolling through the mechanics, trying to keep ourselves out of the expanding AoE, trying to watch out for that beam that's getting shot down from above so that we don't get caught in that sea. Boom. If you get caught in both of those AoEs at the same time, you'll be taking some pretty severe damage. And then as you can see by my face, I get sucked in once again, just like literally such a nuisance. So if you're a tank here tanking this fight, please try to keep Mafala, the spawn of Mafala, as far away from this as possible, because I believe the further away you are, the less you'll have to deal with this mechanic. So really try to keep her as close to that bridge as you physically can, because as you can see, this definitely extends the duration of the fight. It doesn't necessarily make it super, super hard, but it just extends it so that, because if one of your DPS keeps getting sucked in, you know, it's just a pain to deal with. If your healer gets sucked in, you're going to have to, your tank is going to really have to be self-sufficient. If your tank gets sucked in, then the boss is going to start attacking the DPS. So I do believe that if someone does get pulled into the portal, it is best if a DPS is. But I do think if you keep her as far away from the portal as possible, you can just avoid it entirely. But as we can see, boom, we dropped the big fiery rage, hopefully trying to get her killed. She's at about less than 6%. So finally, we get this boss fight over and done with. After that, we have 2 more bosses still. We have 2 more bosses. Now, I have a complete brain fart, and I think that we're moving into the last boss. I forgot that there was another boss. This is the path you're going to take when you're done with the next boss, not the one that you just beat. When you're done with the next boss, really embarrassing that this is in my guide, but I had a complete brain fart, forgot about the next boss. So I run all the way here, jump down, and then have the sudden realization, hey, buddy guy pal, what are you doing? This isn't where you're supposed to be. Let's see how long it takes for me to realize it. Because there's basically when you go up the stairs, kind of like where you turned in the quest in Fungal Grotto 1, you will basically go through a door, and there will be a boss encounter in there. You have to do that boss, pick up the obsidian husk behind him, and then you'll come down to this area where you will find the final boss encounter. So I'm just going to cut this part out here when we actually get back to the next boss. So as you can see, I took the portal back, finally realized I was making a mistake. We walk through this door here, as you can see, and now we have some Obsidian warriors to deal with. So it's basically the same ads from before, the ones that do the soul tether, and the ones that have the steel tornado-like ability. So again, you want to make sure to try to avoid those as much as you can, because they do hurt. They do a lot of damage. So we take these guys down, and then we move further down the tunnel where there's just another group of them, and we're gonna have to come back through this tunnel on our way back as well. But the strategy is a little bit different. At least the way I normally do it, it's a little bit different. You don't actually kill the guys on the way out. You literally just run right past them and pray for the best. Because once you get back to like the final boss, if you're able to just run past these guys, you're just able to skip them entirely. It's really definitely helps save on time. So we move down, more Obsidian warriors, same mechanics, just avoid the steel tornado, avoid the soul tether, and you'll be fine. So moving into this next boss fight here, we have Rhaegar Dark Dawn. Now, he has 3 main attacks: a whirling steel tornado type attack, a Magicka Drain attack, which is a big pain in the ass, excuse me, especially as a Magicka DPS, and he has a heavy attack that deals heavy damage. So there's a couple, like, I know people have done this room a couple ways. You can either pull the guy up the stairs here and just kill him on the staircase, or you can go around the room and kill all the ads first and then kill him downstairs. It's really kind of up to you whether or not you want to do it. Obviously pulling him up top is going to be much quicker. I'm going to skip this because I believe something was wrong with our tank, so I'm just going to wait for him to get back because, yeah, he DC'd. So I'm going to wait for him to reconnect, and then we'll move into the boss fight. All right, so now that our tank is back, we are going to be moving into the boss fight here finally, and we do choose to pull him up the stairs, and as you can see, it does not aggro any of the Obsidian warriors down here. So we pull him onto the stairs. That is, in my opinion, the best way to do it. And as you can see, when Rhaegar puts his staff or his axe into the air, it just drains everyone's magicka. So be sure as a Magicka DPS to have Magicka pots on you for this fight. Be ready with your heavy attacks. Will be very instrumental for keeping your resources. You also saw him do his little AoE cleave thing there. So just simply stand back and away from that and you'll be fine. Our Crimson Tide does successfully block that guy's heavy attack, so he doesn't have to deal with the damage from that. So when you see him charging up that heavy attack, simply block. But besides those 3 mechanics, really easy boss fight. Not a lot to worry about, especially when you pull him up onto the stairs. The most annoying part of it is just that big Magicka Drain. That really is the biggest pain in the ass from it. So as you can see, charge up the heavy attack, boom. our tank was able to block it successfully. If you don't block that, you'll be taking major damage. If you stand in the AoE, you will be taking major damage. It's just pretty basic mechanics. It's just, like I said, it's just kind of a nuisance with all the magic and drain, especially if you have a lot of magic and DPS in your group. Stamina and DPS obviously aren't as affected because they're, not their main resource, but, obviously you'll have some trouble with your utility skills. But once he is taken care of, then you destroy the Obsidian Husk. Bada bing, bada boom. That enables the final boss fight. Now, once you kill or destroy the Obsidian Husk, you start moving down these caverns, and you're going to notice more Obsidian warriors spawn. The way that I've always done this is you just sprint right past them. As you can see, we're just running right past them, not even worrying about them, because if you're just able to run, and drop down into that final boss area, you literally don't even have to waste your time with these guys. You literally don't even have to waste your time. So we go down the path that I took earlier on my little adventure detour. We come back down here. So run down here. You're going to jump up the ledge. There are some Obsidian guys that I believe spawn here. There we go. Run right past them. Just keep going. And then we're going to go up here, drop down into that room, and then we will be ready for our final boss fight. Now, again, we are doing this on Veteran Hard Mode. Now, 92 HP, dude. Making it, just barely making it. We almost died. But this fight doesn't have a scroll to activate, kind of like Fungal Grotto 1 and a lot of the other dungeons. This is just kind of like you have to do a specific mechanic in order to technically activate hard mode. So what we like to do is, you can see where Wiggly's jumping up. We move between that mushroom and that kind of like that little weapon rack is where we're supposed to move through during this fight. So we talk to that Fighters Guild guy. We enable the boss fight. Now, as you can see, there is that orb that appears around the dome that appears around the Obsidian Husk. That is a safe zone that you can stand in where you will not be damaged by the high dot attack that the boss has. Now, hard mode is not entering the Husk's AoE safety net while that dot attack is happening. So if you want the double keys from this, if you're doing Veteran Hard Mode for a pledge, do not enter that area. Obviously, as you can see, she dumps these big AoE areas on the ground, and they just deal a lot of damage, especially if you get stuck in multiple. They're growing. They're a massive pain in the butt. So you want to try to, like I said, our normal objective was to try to run between those 2 points, the mushroom and the weapon rack, because I believe it makes the AoEs much easier to handle. So we finally kind of get in sync here. I think it took us a little bit to really understand what we were trying to do. I believe our tank was having a little bit of problems with trying to understand what we were trying to do. But now that you can see, we're in sync here. We're good. So she does that channeled dot thing. Again, that's the thing where you would go into the husk to stay safe. But if you just stay super grouped up, that's why it's really important, so that the healer can keep everybody sustained during that high dot attack. She also will be, when she teleports around the room, is when she's going to be dropping these big growing AoE. So we try to move back away from her. And that's the fight. Literally dealing with those growing AoEs and that channeled dot attack is the entire fight. So stay grouped up like we are, moving back between this area by the sleeping bag and that mushroom up there. Move as a pack so that your healer can keep you up really easily. And then as she teleports, she'll be dropping those AoEs. You see she teleports, she dropped it. We attack her. We start backing up. She's going to teleport towards somebody. You keep backing up. It's just rotate through that sequence over and over. I'm actually going to speed this up right here just so that you don't have to go through the whole thing. But that's the fight. That's the entire fight. As long as you stay outside the Obsidian Husk's safety net, though, you'll be perfectly fine, and you will have beaten the dungeon on Veteran Hard Mode. So I do want to thank everybody for stopping by this video guide on Veteran Fungal Grotto 2 Hard Mode. I hope you guys found this guide helpful, and if you enjoyed it, I would appreciate if you smacked a like on the video. If you have any questions about the dungeon, anything at all, please leave a comment below and I will be happy to help. If you guys enjoyed this video and want to continue to see more of the Dungeon Guide series, as well as other ESO guides, PvP montages, videos, etc., I'd appreciate if you hit that sub button, as well as hit the little bell to make sure that you keep notifications on at all times for whatever I'm doing here on the YouTube channel. So I thank you guys so much for stopping by today's video. As always, I'm Dots Gaming, and I will see you in the next one.